Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Warenberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Happy full moon in Leo. It's the first full moon of 2021. This is amazing. And I have a pick a card tarot for you. Remember, full moons are about endings. They're about cycles we don't want to continue anymore. They're about letting things go, especially since the full moon is in Leo from when the sun was in Leo back in the summer. So thinking about from that 6-month cycle, what you want to release, what you want to let go of, and just kind of setting some intentions, taking time with yourself and just releasing things that aren't serving you anymore. So I've inserted a picture of the 3 piles for you today. We have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. You can pick the pile based on whatever sticks out to you, the shape of the crystal, the mantra you can see on the cards, any of the numbers, or just even if you just have a gut feeling towards any of them. So go ahead and pick your pile. And I have the timestamps below the video so you can go ahead and click on whichever one of those matches your choice, and I will see you there. Hi everyone, this is for everyone who picked group number 1. So if you picked the pile that had the mantra, I let grace lead the way, then this is your pile. I'm going to start with tarot, and then at the end I'll go through your oracle cards for more clarification, okay? So first we have 7 of Wands, 10 of Swords, 4 of Swords, Queen of Swords, a lot of swords coming up for you. 3 of Pentacles, 9 of Wands, the Fool, Knight of Cups, and Death. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so I think you need to give yourself a little bit of a break here. Okay, it looks like there's a lot of energy. This is interesting. There's a lot of energy coming up around letting cycles be done, kind of getting your footing back and kind of moving forward and like just your healing journey. So if we look at the opening of this reading, okay, we have 7 of Wands, we have 10 of Swords, and then we have 4 of Swords. Okay, so as you can see, these 2 cards are a little bit dramatic. This one, 7 of Swords. Okay, obviously this is about conflict. You can see the person, like his shoes don't even match. He's got the sword up, he's on the defense, or his wand up, he's on the defense, and he's got all those wands in front of him. So this is about you, and then combine it with this. Okay, with the 10 of Swords. So this is just totally give up, cannot take anything anymore. These 2 together, you have been fighting an imaginary battle and exhausting yourself about it. So there's something going on in your energy field that you were fighting and you had to stand up for yourself and all of that great stuff, but you were fighting it so hard that it's not even real anymore. There probably was a conflict. There was something that you had to stand up for yourself. There was something that was unfair. But sometimes after we've been in conflict, if our body gets addicted to that emotional fighting, then we just make our own enemy out of ourselves. We just decide that I have to be on the defense. My life is stress forever. I can't be who I want to be, any of that stuff. So that's kind of what this card's saying is you need to, what are you making real, right? You see these wands aren't even like attacking attacking this person. They're just there. So what are you defending, or what do you feel like you're stressing yourself out about, or like still fighting that isn't real anymore? Maybe the person's not in your life anymore, maybe your situation has changed, and we're not minimizing what you had to go through or how you had to stand up for yourself, but it is worth noticing, did you, like, is the conflict over and you're still like on high alert, stressing yourself out, all of that? And that leads to this total burnout, total death, total exhaustion, just beyond repair, just completely, killed, all these swords in your back, stressed out. Again, both of these cards of conflict, there isn't another person in the card. So, again, kind of what we're doing to ourselves, what's in the mind. And we're not minimizing a painful experience you've gone through, but just recognizing eventually it gets to the point where you have to say, am I the one making this real when, it's done? So I see that, maybe you've gone into, here's your death. So now you're totally dead. I'm just kidding. Um, this can be where you are resting now. This can be, you see like it's very symbolic. Some of those swords, like maybe you have some nightmares or things like recurring dreams that are haunting you about the situation. And so you see this person, prayer hands, right? You just got to surrender. You got to let it go. You got to ask for help from your higher power to release the situation so you can feel comfortable and confident in yourself again and not feel totally like overwhelmed. And of course, person laying down on the back, you need to rest. You need to give yourself a break. You need to put the baseball bat down, stop beating yourself up. You need to let yourself have some space from the situation that was so stressful and just, got you really worked up. So if you haven't been resting, give yourself permission to take a little bit of a break, to rest, to relax a little bit, to not feel like you have to have everything figured out this minute. And just kind of, it's okay after we go through a conflicting time in our life or a challenging time in our life that we need a moment to just relax and just, you know, take a rest. Cycles are natural, cycles are normal. They're an important part of being alive on earth. Okay, then where you move into Queen of Swords energy and Three of Pentacles and some more wands. We got a lot of wands going on here with the Nine of Wands. Okay, so Queen of Swords, this is interesting. I feel like it being placed, it coming right after, it's backwards, it coming right after the Four of Swords. I feel like Queen of Swords is all about discernment. So I feel like once you have your rest period, once you regain your strength and your energy, you're going to be able to be like, okay, these are my boundaries. This is what I learned from the situation. This is what I want to allow or not allow into my life. This is just the situation where moving forward, you've come to realize what does and what does not work for you, where you want boundaries, how you want to move forward, what is actually something that can serve you, doesn't serve you, anything like that. And so when we look at this situation, Three of Pentacles, this is probably, so once you feel a little bit more comfortable and confident moving forward, this is you're in a situation that does require group work, teamwork, even like talking to other people, maybe you are going to be able to test out some of those boundaries. So when we have these together, right, you're going to need to practice what you preach. And did you really learn your lesson from this other time? Are you really comfortable being like, okay, this is what I'm not allowing into my life anymore. This is what I am allowing into my life. And once you feel more comfortable setting those boundaries and knowing what your limits are, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, it's going to be easier to move into some of this energy. So some of this Nine of Wands. So as you can see, similar energy here, more wands, maybe even more drama because there's more wands on this card than on this card. But you can see the person here, right? Like he's a little wary, but he's still got his wand there in his hand in case he needs to defend himself. But it's not as chaotic as this. So moving into, putting some space for yourself, just saying, okay, what do I want to allow into my life? What are the boundaries I want for myself? It's safe for me to navigate the world and understand that I don't have to accept everything that comes my way. I don't have to accept, everything I interact with. You can say no, you can have boundaries. And as you continue to work those boundaries in different groups and different situations and different whatever, you're just going to get more and more comfortable and relaxed. And so I think with this full moon, you need to think about what are the boundaries what have you allowed in your life, since the full moon is about closure? What have you allowed in your life that you want to not allow anymore? Where do you want to have discernment? Where do you want to have boundaries? How do you want to move forward? And if we look at the last section of your reading, we have the Fool, we have Knight of Cups, and we have Death. Okay, Death. I love Death card. Everyone is scared of it, but it's actually not that big of a deal. It's not actual death. Okay, but so we have the Fool. So the Fool into Knight of Cups, into Death. When we start with the Fool, right? So if you do this work, if you practice discernment in different settings with different people, and like it's a little uncomfortable at first, you're going to get here again. Okay, so the Fool is someone who, you're ready to just kind of take a chance at life. You're ready to take a step forward. You're ready to realize, like, okay, I can take risks. I can take chances. You know, this person, they're about to walk off a cliff because they're like, "What da, da, da." So it doesn't mean that you're going to walk off the cliff. Okay. But it just means that this is like happy go lucky energy. You're ready to kind of like move forward. They even got a flower in their hand, right? Their dog's so excited. We're going on an adventure. So this is like renewed energy. You have this energy of like, I'm ready to try again. I'm ready to get there. As long as you have these boundaries in place that you've worked on, you're going to feel more comfortable and confident moving forward because you're going to know what your limit is, what you want to allow in your life, what you don't want to allow in your life, all of that. And so this is more of the embodying that energy. And then that leads to the Knight of Cups. So Knight of Cups is one of the knights that's a little slower, but slow and steady wins the race, right? So it's better for you to embody this energy of feeling comfortable and then just taking baby steps. Baby steps are still progress. Baby steps are still effective and efficient in getting towards what you want in your life. They don't mean you're a failure, anything like that. It's you know, we just have to move at a pace that's okay for us. And then finally, the Death card. Look, we have the double horses here. You see. So I think as you move forward, you're going to need to differentiate. Death is about, you know, we die many times in our lifetime. We have a lot of ego deaths. We have to have a lot of deaths around what we believe, what beliefs we're carrying with us, which things we allowed in our life before. So I think as you move forward with your energy and towards what you want and keep growing, you're going to have to let go of certain things. You're going to have to let some old beliefs die, maybe some old habits die, some old patterns die, maybe some old relationships, maybe some ways you used to relate to people. So as you're moving forward and building the life you want, and as you're closing out cycles with this full moon, just think about what might have to die for you to be able to do that. What might you have to let go of that maybe you didn't think you had to in order to move forward like this. So what is, you know, it's not fun when we change our patterns sometimes, because even if it's something we don't want, we still have to let go of things that were a part of our life for kind of a long time. So looking at death, you know, what do you have to release? What do you want to let go of? And this is like very timely for a full moon again, closing of cycles. What do you not want to allow in your life anymore? What do you want to let go of as you continue to move forward with yourself here? Okay, then if we look at your oracle cards, okay, we have I release the need to control my life. We have Flamingo, Unity Heart. You're being called to work on collective healing. We have Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. And then we have the Outlaw. A little shimmery there. Okay, so I release the need to control my life. I think this is what we're talking about here with these two things. You know, you can fight and fight and fight and fight. Maybe this is even just about some resistance you had to something, a change that was happening in your life, something you refused to let go, anything like that. So I release the need to control my life and just moving into surrendering, right? So if something causes you so much pain, like there's a difference between something being really challenging and you're still growing versus something like it's clear it's not working, you're hitting a wall, you are going crazy about it. There's a difference between those two things. And so I release the need to control my life. This is just, you got to be honest with yourself. When are you pushing and pushing when it's clear that that's not what's serving you? It's clear that that's not the path you need to be going on. So I release the need to control my life. And usually when we can say that, that's when we can kind of loosen the grip a little bit, and then we can get some guidance on how we actually should be moving forward and what things actually do serve us. And if we look at Unbound and the Outlaw, okay, so I think these two cards go together. So Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives, and then the Outlaw. So the Outlaw, you know, doesn't mean you do anything like super crazy. It's just so pretty. Okay, but these together, I think, is when we're talking about this theme here of what boundaries do you need to have? What do you need to let go of? Even with the Death card, what do you need to release? The Outlaw can be even you being an outlaw to yourself. So what have you been doing or committing to in your life that doesn't serve you anymore? What do you need to let go of? What have you been, again, like super feeling like again, rebelling against yourself, being outlaw against yourself. What do you need to do to kind of release some of those patterns that don't serve you anymore, kind of break off your old patterns, move forward in a way that actually serves you, and releasing some of that. And then we have unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. So it's exactly what we're talking about with having boundaries. Maybe some patterns you've had for most of your lifetime aren't serving you anymore. And again, like it's a maybe, you know, kind of does feel a little like that, like floating towards, oh my God, you know, but it's up to you to release things that don't serve you anymore. It's up to you to decide when enough is enough. It's up to you to decide, you know, when you let things go, when it's time for some patterns and things in your life to die. And again, with the full moon, very timely for you to think about which things do you not want to allow into your life anymore. And then all of this is leading towards Flamingo Unity Heart. You're being called to work on collective healing. So this just goes to, you know, universal truth. All is one. We're all connected. Anytime you choose a healthier pattern for yourself, anytime you set a boundary with someone, anytime you are more clear about who you are, that radiates outward for collective healing. So when you learn a lesson for yourself, we're always in lesson with multiple people. So when you set this for yourself, you know, when you are called towards a collective healing, you know, sometimes we think I have to do this big, huge thing to be part of collective healing, but that's not true. You just need to be listening to yourself, setting your own boundaries, and trusting that you leading by example and embodying the energy is going to contribute so much to the collective healing one-on-one, but also as you embodying that for yourself. Okay, so that's everything I have for you today. I hope this serves you. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. And thank you so much for being here, and happy full moon. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 2 for your tarot reading. So if you picked the group with the I listen to my body affirmation on top of it, welcome. Just a reminder that full moons are about closing of cycles. So we're going to look at some messages in the cards for you that you can reflect on and think maybe some things you need to let go of. Okay, so we're starting our reading with King of Swords in reverse, Queen of Wands in reverse, 8 of Cups, the Lovers, 7 of Wands, the Emperor, the High Priestess, 5 of Swords, and 8 of Pentacles to close your reading. Okay, so when we start with this, this is interesting that we have King of Swords and Queen of Wands, so a king and a queen both in reverse. To me, this symbolizes that you are out of sync with your own internal masculine and feminine energy. So all of us, regardless of what gender you identify with, all of us have masculine and feminine energy in our bodies. And that helps us, you know, balance in the way of life. So there's times where we need to be more masculine with goal setting, with making something happen. And there's times where we need to be more feminine, like letting things come to us, not trying so hard. And so when those two things are out of balance, when we feel disconnected from them, then that's when our energy can be thrown off. So I feel like probably you went through a situation or something in your life where, you know, you didn't have a good balance with that. Maybe you were so overly masculine or so overly feminine. Overly feminine is like, can be codependent energy. It could be not standing up for yourself. It could be having no boundaries. And then overly masculine could be you try so hard. Maybe you're manipulative. You're trying to control a situation. So is there something going on when you didn't have a good balance with that? And maybe it was a relationship with a particular person or a work situation or something in your life that was not contributing to you being your higher self. And so just thinking about, you know, what led you to be out of balance in that way. And then I see, you know, when we have this with the 8 of Cups right next to it, or this way, I guess would be the right way. You know, the good news is you did end up walking away or leaving, or even if you physically didn't remove yourself, kind of energetically putting some space in that situation. And so, you know, and then even here, the sun, the moon and the sun together kind of representing masculine and feminine energy, you know, but you walked away. And so there could have been some type of abundance there. So maybe just like the promise of a relationship, or it was someone who you did have a close relationship with at some point, or it was a job that was giving you maybe like a lot of check marks in like the abundance world. But you always got to go by this. You always got to go by your feeling energetically. So, but it seems like you know, you had to pull the trigger on that one. You had to walk away. You had to kind of leave a little bit of space for yourself with that. So if you did that, I just want to say congratulations. It's not easy to walk away from something when it can look very appealing, but to put that space between it and to choose yourself is actually very helpful and good. And you never lose by choosing yourself. You never lose by respecting yourself to leave a situation that wasn't in your best interest. Okay, and then we look at the next section of your reading. We have the Lovers and Seven of Wands and the Emperor. Okay, so the Lovers, people think is about a relationship. To me, because we have these two in reverse representing masculine and feminine energy, again, this card is like can be about lovers, but I read it as based on the rest of your reading, like you have found a rebalance in your masculine and feminine energy. So when you leave something that doesn't serve you, the next step is you have to kind of do damage control, and you have to stand up for yourself, and you have to look at the ways that maybe your boundaries were crossed and you weren't showing up for yourself in the best way, or maybe something was a little challenging. So when you have the Lovers show up, it's a good time for you to look at yourself, to think about, how was I not showing up for myself in the best way? How can I put a rebalance in my masculine and feminine energies? So if you were like in workaholic energy, how can you allow yourself to rest some more? If you were, too feminine and that you had no boundaries, what boundaries do you need to put in your life? If you're codependent on something, how can you kind of fill yourself up with your own energy? And that sounds nice and great and fun, but as we know, when we have Seven of Wands, there's inner conflict here, right? And so you see this person, there's no one else on the card that they're kind of fighting or feeling off about. So this is, I think, some inner conflict. And part of why conflict can be really challenging for us is sometimes, even if the external circumstances change, there's some type of divide within ourselves that we have to merge with. So I think as you're starting to put together your masculine and feminine energy again, there's going to be some internal conflict, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a normal part of going through conflict. It's just what happens. But so try not to judge yourself too much if there is some internal back and forth. Like, don't beat yourself up. Be nice to yourself. Be understanding. Again, remember the important thing is you chose yourself, and now as you move forward, and what cycles do you want to end? What things do you want to end? So not just like things outside of you or your relationship with something outside of you, but even looking within yourself. What do you want to do moving forward? And sometimes, we have the Emperor. The Emperor here is very traditional card, represents a lot of like traditional thinking. And so what you can do when you feel really out of whack is kind of get back to some basics. That's what this card represents for me here in this situation. Get back to the basics. Get back to, how did you take care of yourself? What's very basic self-care? I mean, eat a nourishing meal, put a face mask on, speak kindly to yourself, do some affirmations. So kind of calling in some energy around what type of self-care do you need? How can you be more kind to yourself? How can you take care of yourself? So we can merge, this masculine and feminine energies, and like we can kind of soothe some of our inner conflict when we go back to the basics, when we get like traditional with taking care of ourselves. And even if something that might not seem like is super helpful, sometimes after we go through, or like maybe a little more basic, a little traditional, when we go through big, huge changes in our lives, sometimes just that little piece of going back to ourselves, going back to the basics, just making sure your basic foundation is laid, can actually benefit you a lot and can grant you a lot of peace and remind you who you are and what you connect to in that way. Okay, and then looking towards the closing of your reading, we have High Priestess, we have Five of Swords, and then Eight of Pentacles. Okay, so all three together. So I think, having the Emperor and the High Priestess right next to each other, these things being working on yourself, going back to basics. When you go back to the basics, when you do things and they add up, that's when you really become the best version of yourselves. When we are consistent in the practices that serve us, when we are consistent in taking care of ourselves, that's when we get this like elevated high priestess, feeling really good, can really hear our intuition, can really feel connected to ourselves. That energy will come. So this is saying, you work through that balance, set the boundaries, reconnect with yourself. You're going to get to some of this like feeling good, feeling strong, intuitive, clear energy again, feeling good, feeling motivated. Don't rush the process. Be nice to yourself, just what you want to do moving forward with that. And again, everything just like this card sounds really nice, but sometimes when we want something, some challenges come up. So I think as you continue on this path here, and we have the Five of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles come up, this isn't just like you think it and you do it. Of course, challenges are going to come up. This person, I don't think it's someone betraying you, but there are things that can look appealing when we don't want to stay on our path, right? So maybe one of your thing is to, work on a creative project you want to do every day. You want to work like 1 hour every day on it. But you look over there, like, oh, watching Netflix for an hour actually looks a little bit better. So this is a card about distraction. So staying focused on your path, and then staying focused also here. Obviously, we can see someone putting in that actual physical labor to work towards what they want, to have all their little, their pentacles, their abundance going up there. So this is going to be, I think, with this full moon, you need to look at what cycles do you need to close out so you can stay focused on what you want to be doing? What things do you know are a distraction and you want to kind of let go of and release so you can stay focused on where you want to go and what you want to create in your life? Now, obviously, of course, you should still have joy. You still have moments of rest. You still have all of that stuff. But this is about, again, finding balance between these things and knowing if like this is what you're working for, this is who you are. What things do you need to say no to, and which things, while you're putting in the work to continue to become this amazing, wonderful version of yourself as you kind of release and rebalance some energy. Okay, let's look at your oracle cards. This is good. It is safe to ask for help. We have. Okay, we have Snake, Kundalini Rising, channel your creative passion and sensuality. Welcome the transformation. We have Align Your Life, what is not aligned or needs to change. And then we have Release. A little shiny one. Okay, so it is, well, do I want to start with that one? Okay, we'll start with these. Align your life and release. So this is basically exactly what we were just talking about with these things here. So where are you being distracted? What do you need to release and to put in the hard work? And even with this, when you're talking about rebalancing your masculine and feminine energy, what do you need to release? And full moon, of course, is a great time for releasing, a great time to close out cycles, a great time to just release stuff. And so here we have Align Your Life. What is not, I can't read backwards, what is not aligned or needs to change. So again, when we look at cycles, when we look at closing out full moon, that could just be a journal prompt if you want something, if maybe you didn't get a clear message from this reading yet. What is not aligned or needs to change? Very simple. It's like we have a lot of maintenance in our life, and so it's good to just get clear about that and ask ourselves that over and over again. And then we have the Snake card, the Kundalini Rising, channel your creative passion and sensuality, welcome the transformation. So I think this is sometimes when we want to heal ourselves or when we want to mend ourselves, maybe we want to go back to who we were before the situation happened, before our growth, and that can't happen. You can go back to feeling some of the feelings you felt before that, but welcoming the transformation is actually very powerful because we integrate all of our experiences and then we become a new version of ourselves. We don't just like, it doesn't just like happen and then we're done with it and then okay, I can pretend like just like cut that out of my life like it never happened, right? So you have to welcome the transformation. You will get there. So this is just affirming you will get there, especially with this Kundalini energy being pretty powerful. You are going to get there. You are going to create a new pattern in your life. But this is about, welcoming, maybe if you don't really feel super familiar with who you're becoming or what's going on with that. And then it is safe to ask for help. I love this card. I feel like, a lot of this was about doing some internal work. And sometimes if we feel shameful, especially, if you got really out of whack, your boundaries got really, really crossed, sometimes we can feel really shameful or afraid to be like, hey, even going back to the basics, right? I need help. I need the situation. And even just saying, like, even just surrendering and being like, please guide me in the way I need. Sometimes someone can appear who can help us. When we go back to the basics, maybe if, like nourishing your body got out of balance for you, or having a healthy relationship with yourself, it's safe to ask for help. So maybe you need to hire someone to help you as you get balance again. Maybe you need to buy a book or a workbook or something to help you move through this transformation of being connected to yourself, and know that you aren't failing. It's just a way to kind of release some of that. And we're interconnected species. We are humans. We do rely on each other. So it is safe to ask for help, and it is something that is going to serve you as you continue to move and release some of these cycles that aren't serving you anymore and kind of like are done. And as you're moving forward, like knowing we never outgrow being a student. We always need to be connected to things that can serve us. And part of that is, hiring someone who knows what they're doing. Sometimes when we're emotionally blocked, we can't access that totally completely. So there's nothing wrong with you. It's safe to ask for help. I really want that to be the message you hear for group number 2. Okay, that's everything I have for you. I hope this served you. If you ever want any more information about me, if you want to purchase my books or work with me one-on-one, all that information is linked below. Thank you so much. Happy full moon in Leo, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And this is for everyone who picked group number 3 for your reading. You pick the oracle card that says, I am beautiful and everybody loves me. I mean, this is a good information for full moon in Leo, right? Leo egos out there, everybody. I am beautiful and everybody loves me. How nice. Okay, so just as a reminder, full moons are a time to kind of close things out, to let go of cycles that aren't serving us so we can make room for new things to come in. So I'm going to go through your tarot cards and then clarify at the end with your oracle cards if you need any like reminders of messages, okay? So opening your reading, we have 10 of Wands. We have 9 of Pentacles. We have the Moon. We have Judgment. The World. Ace of Cups. 6 of Cups. King of Swords. And Queen of Wands. Okay, this is a pretty high energy reading, I will say. Where do I want to start? Okay, I think this is recently, this is interesting for the full moon. When we have this 10 of Wands here, right into the 9 of Pentacles, you were doing too much. Okay, not too much in a bad way, but you were taking responsibility for too much. You were working harder than you needed to be. You were taking responsibility for a lot of things that maybe weren't your responsibility, right? So there was a lot of you. I mean, just look at it like that. You were doing that, right? So you were carrying a lot of things that maybe weren't for you, carrying a lot of things that it could be emotionally carrying them, it could be physically carrying them, it could be, but you were just taking on more responsibility than was fair for you recently. And I mean, this is just, I could feel this message is just very strong. So if you pick this group, this is a very strong message for you. I feel the tightness in my body, right? So we look at the 9 of Pentacles. You cannot enjoy your abundance if you're doing this. So you have an abundant life. Maybe you're not totally where you want to be, but you have some abundant things around you. You have, make a gratitude list. What do you have access to? But when we're doing this and we're so focused on that, we can't see any of our abundance at all. We can't see any of all of these we can't see the bird on my hand. We can't see all the pentacles in my garden, right? We can't see any of that if we're so focused on doing that. And so I think when we have the moon here, the moon representing our subconscious, maybe you had some divine intervention come in. Maybe you like heard it was like a whisper and then it got louder and louder and louder for you to finally make a change, to say no, to not do something. Um, but you had some type of outside force or higher power energy just being like, look, you gotta stop. You gotta cut it out. You gotta say no. You have to stop fighting and fighting and fighting, or doing too much, or taking care of all this stuff. Like, you have to release this. And this is kind of like, your soul always guiding us to the right thing. God is always there to help you. God doesn't want you to suffer forever. And so this is kind of like, I think, your subconscious energy coming up and coming through. Because if we look in the next section, we have judgment. Okay, so we have judgment here. So that's kind of evaluating, what am I doing with my life? What is going on here? What is, judgment is, this card represents kind of like Judgment Day when we think about it in the Abrahamic religion sense. So when we all have to look back on our lives and say, what have I done? What did I show up for? What was or was not working for me? So this is, I feel like you recently had an experience of divine intervention or a realization, or just something clicked where you were just like, I can't do whatever I was doing before. Like, this is like my limit. I've reached it and I've had enough. So there's some awareness, some awakening going on. And then that, leads us into the world and Ace of Cups, which is really beautiful. So once you have this awareness, once you've been able to kind of be like, okay, this thing was not serving me, I kind of released it, I'm ready to move forward. Once you have that judgment, and then we move into the world, look at this. Flying in the air, loving life, no problem, right? So the person holding in this is on the Magician, the same thing, kind of like the magic wand, creating your life, all of that. So when you kind of have judgment and you release some of this, you're able to be like, okay, wow, I actually do have, the world is in my hands. I can create what I want. I can have things I want in my life. Maybe just forcing things in this certain direction was causing you a lot of inner turmoil, and I just keep feeling like energetically just hitting a wall. Like, you were just going crazy, like just trying to like force something to happen that was not happening. This is what it feels like. And so now, once you have judgment, when you release that, you first of all open your energy up to the world, to abundance, to many options, to a cycle opening, to this cycle closing. Wonderful on the full moon. So if you are going to journal today, or you are going to think about that, just thinking about, what did I let go of? What cycle did I close? What things did I release that weren't serving me? And then, very beautiful cards together, the World and Ace of Cups. We see with the Ace of Cups here, just kind of washing clean. We see, this hand of God, the hand of your higher power, kind of coming in and giving space for you to kind of, just take a bath, to kind of refresh yourself, to feel new again, be reborn, just kind of letting go of some of these things where you were just like, again, just like running your head into the wall, just feeling so crazy, so overwhelmed, just like continuing the cycle, hoping things were going to be different than they actually were. This is about releasing that and letting yourself just kind of like have some relief. So this is about being honest with yourself, taking honest inventory of your life, taking stock in, where am I wishing things were different than they were? Where am I pretending things are different than they are? And then having these two to be like, oh, okay, actually this and this is different. And this is how I can have some new clean energy. And then once you do that, so beautiful, goes right into the Six of Cups. This is an inner child card. And so I think, we all have our inner child, and sometimes they can be wounded, but having a healthy inner child is actually amazing when you're an adult, because it connects us to like playfulness and joy and fun and just a lot of like lightheartedness in life. And so when you are able to say no and realize where you weren't showing up for yourself, and you are able to kind of like take a deep breath and have some release, beautiful. You're going to have some beautiful inner child energy coming out. And you want to have that inner child energy again to help you feel fun, like joyous, laughter, things that are fun. And like, we are here to experience joy. Like that is a part of the human experience. And so when our inner child is clear and open, I mean, it's like when you can laugh at something, when something feels funny, you know, all of that is connected to inner child. And then this is really interesting. So we have our inner child, and then the two cards coming after that, we have the King of Swords and the Queen of Wands. So I think these two were in the pile before those two, but you are going to protect your inner child. That's what this is saying. So we have both the king and the queen. So we have masculine and feminine energy. We have two parents. We have, I mean, however you want to look at it, but we need king and queen energy inside of us to take care of this inner child. So it's going to be important for you to not, but like learn, what did you learn from this? What did you learn from the ways you were blocking your own abundance, blocking your own, all of that? And how can you keep those boundaries as a king and a queen, as this powerful energy, as all of that, so you can protect your inner child, so you don't put yourself through a lot of this pain. And, you know, again, tough times are going to happen in life, but looking at this particular situation, what did you learn on your day of judgment? What did you learn that you don't want to have happen again? What do you want to release? Kind of where's your limits with all of that? So just looking at King of Swords and Queen of Wands, again, what's your limits? What do you know now? So that if you want to free write, you want to journal today for the full moon, kind of what did you learn from this situation so you can show up for yourself? And what did you learn? Like, okay, I know this is the boundary I have. Maybe I didn't know it before, but I know I have it now. So just remembering, you know, we have a choice at some level, and we can always hear this intuition, even if things feel very, very disconnected and very hard. Okay, let's do your oracle cards. Amazing. Okay, I'll start with this one. Antelope, new pathways. Consider whether you are happy on your current path. Wow, look at that. Okay, so that's very much this one, and very much judgment. So this is what we were talking about. Consider whether you are happy on your current path. So, you know, there is challenging times in our life where we do need to be honest, say, okay, this is a learning experience for me, and I'm learning something and I'm growing. But there's a difference between that versus like, this is just not working anymore. This is just, I have tried every which way. I did my best. I gave it my all, and it's just not working. And so antelope, when we say consider whether you are happy on your current path, be honest. Take some, and if anything intuitively popped to your mind right now, that's probably the thing you need to be evaluating. Okay, and again, like, this isn't fun. I know I've had to do it before, but consider whether you're happy on your current path. You got to be honest and take that judgment, take that stock, get some awareness so that you can be open to this abundance that is available for you. Okay, what do we want to do? Okay, soul family. Call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. So a lot of what I talked about is like, again, you taking judgment for yourself, you putting some boundaries, all of that stuff. But when we go through a hard or challenging time, you don't have to do it on your own. So call in your soul family. If you have people who just feel like supportive to you, who can show up for you, who can love you through any of these things, that's who you need to be focusing on right now. That's who would be good for you to connect with. All of that is really, really wonderful. Call in your tribe. Don't have to do it alone. So make sure, you know, you're feeling supported and loved and taken care of with this. Love this one. I'm worthy of my own love. So this, I think, goes here. King of Swords, Queen of Wands. When we love ourselves, when we respect ourselves, when we know we are worthy of our own love, then it's easy for us to set boundaries. It's easier for us to know, I'm not doing this, I'm not taking that, I'm not, you know, we don't become as desperate or allowing things that maybe aren't serving us when we know we're worthy of our own love. So just thinking about, what do you most need to hear in this situation? What affirmations do you need to give yourself in this situation so you can feel confident and like you move through it and like you're doing the right thing for yourself, you're showing up for yourself. That's what you want to focus on. And that goes really nicely into the weaver here. You can see that. So the weaver here, you know, we have two hands with the sword and all that. So the weaver is like, you know, you think about people weaving, and like if you ever did that thing with string with your hands, right? So you kind of weaving in your own fate. There are some things that are written in, again, with the moon, with this intuition, with our divine intervention, but there definitely are ways that we can make choices based on the boundaries we set in our lives, based on the standards we have in our lives. So just thinking about, what am I weaving into my life? What am I allowing? What am I creating? What webs am I weaving? I don't have another word. But so what am I creating in my life that maybe isn't the best for me, or what's a pattern that used to serve me, but again, maybe isn't serving me to the best right now anymore. Okay. So just thinking, what am I weaving? And if I really did believe I am worthy of my own love, what would I want to choose to weave from that? And what am I choosing to weave from? Am I happy on this path or not? What am I weaving from that? So if you want, again, another journal prompt for this full moon, just thinking about what can I release? What am I creating in my life that isn't serving me anymore? What was I weaving that I'm ready to let go of, and isn't the best for me anymore? Okay, so that's all I have for you. I hope this serves you. Happy full moon. If you ever want any more information about me, or you want to work with me one-on-one, or purchase any of my books of poetry, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful full moon.